Systemic racism is deeply rooted within our criminal justice system. Research shows black people are 5 times more likely to be stopped by police without just cause than white people. This bias also spills over to the nation's war on drugs. Now, according to the NAACP, 5% of drug users are black, yet black people make up 29% of those arrested and 33% of those incarcerated for drug offenses. Bernard Noble was sentenced to 13 years in prison for marijuana possession, but his story now has a silver lining. He's teamed up with hip-hop pioneer Fab 5 Freddy for an entirely new concept.
It started off in 2010 when I was at my father's shop. And I was just in Louisiana at the time for a visit to do some shopping for a little soup kitchen I had me. And I came home for a visit. And to fast forward a little bit, I was stopped coming from around the corner at a grocery store with 2 other guys that worked for my dad. One of them threw the weed down, and the cop happened to go back and pick it up. Louisiana laws is just so treacherous on this plane until it's scary. So after he picked the weed up and had us on a hot steaming car, I happened to look up and make eye contact with him. And it was too late. I put my head down, but he came directly to me. And he said some vulgar things to me while I had my head down on the car. And crazy things back to him being from New Orleans. He was a black cop. And he promised me that once he got me there, it wasn't going to be as easy as I was telling. So it was really true. They got me there, wouldn't let me go for nothing in the world. The process was so brutal until I started manipulating myself after they got me in. Wouldn't let me go. They wouldn't make fine. I had a successful kitchen in Kansas City. And when I noticed it was real, I was looked up and I was in court. I got tried, sentenced, and convicted for $5 worth of marijuana, sentenced to 13 1/3 years in prison for 1 gram. You couldn't talk to nobody on their worst day. The quantity and quality was so poor. So I took that journey through that prison. It was devastating. Hard labor in prison is far from what people know on the streets, I'm sure. Hard labor in the prisons, the places I was going to that was treating us like slaves. It consists of cotton picking, beans, and feeding them to the community. And the moment that Mr. Fabulous 5 was at the exit of the prison when I was coming out, life started all over for me, you know.
And I mean, it's such a blessing to be able to tell that story. And I share this with everybody. You're speaking to somebody whose my dad spent 17 years out of 20 years in prison. He was also punished under those harsh laws back in the 90s as well. So he went to prison when I was 4 years old. So when I do these stories, it's a different type of connection because I understand what happened to families at that point. And so, you know, you look at the fact that it was just like for you, 2 grams. And then today, even the announcement with President Biden or Chuck Schumer from the Senate Majority Leader, basically saying that they are now introducing a bill that would help decriminalize something that you spent many years away for. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it's kind of, I take the bitter with the sweet. You know, I look at myself, I was a sacrifice for this cause. It was rough. I don't think nobody should have went through something I went through for this plant that's been on the earth forever. And now, again, like I said, I have a chance to talk to people, to educate them on this scrutiny. No more trickery about the plant and getting beat down and being misled.
And Freddie, you've been working hard at this, just like he mentioned that you were there the day that he was released. And there are so many Black men, brown men that find themselves behind bars due to this. It mainly happens in our community. What's it been like for you working on this process in order to kind of help eliminate that being a problem across the nation?
Yeah, wow, it's been an amazing ride for me. I decided to make a film about the history of cannabis. Film is called Grass is Greener. That's on Netflix right now. And I got this idea to show the connection to cannabis and the development of America's music, going back to jazz in the 20s, following all cutting edge forms of music, reggae into hip hop. I realized that primarily Black artists have been out front making records and singing about the plant from the 20s and 30s into the 90s and right now. And, you know, I introduced artists like Snoop, Cypress Hill, Method Man, Redman to a national audience. They all made great records about cannabis, about the joys of the plant. I thought this would be a pretty cool way to tell the story, but of course I had to look at the criminal justice nightmare. And the case that I chose to focus on was the case of Bernard Noble. At that time, he was still in prison. We went to Louisiana, interviewed his family. That turned out to be a very emotional moment. And it was so sad, but this is the drama. This is unfortunately what happens to too many families unnecessarily. During the process of making the movie, Bernard gets a parole and we fly back to Louisiana to film him walk out of prison. And that's how we met. I met him walking out of prison. You could see it on the film, Grass is Greener. I said, man, it's a really nice dude. What a sad story. And then I began to think about a way to do something that was something involving this incredible new business opportunity, but at the same time, how could I use that to address these issues? So I call it a little bit of entrepreneurial activism. I was steady speaking to Bernard. We had many conversations over the 2 years since the film came out, ideas I had, putting together the whole marketing, packaging, imaging for this product right here called Be Noble. And then Curaleaf showed up in the midst of the pandemic and saw what we put together and said, man, let's make a deal. This is the biggest cannabis company in America that wanted to make a strong statement and do the right thing. And so they jumped on board. We're literally partners now to message about, like literally there's a 2-joint pre-roll that's in this package reflective of the 2 joints that Bernard was sentenced to 13 years hard labor for. And so this is why we get to raise the issues. We've got the message, his story. If you go to the Be Noble website, that's b-noble.com, you'll see a little bit more explanation about Bernard's story, what we're doing, a little clip from the movie. And now our journey begins. And Chuck Schumer's bill, which is very timely. This is the New York senator. New York State just legalized a Black woman, Crystal Peoples-Stokes, authored this bill in 2013, led this charge. And so we need to take it to the White House. We're planning on trying to have a screening of Grass is Greener in the White House for the president and vice president, because many people that were well-versed in this cannabis fight did not know some of the specifics of how these harsh cannabis laws affect primarily people of color, because we're disproportionately targeted. Black and white smoke cannabis equally. We bear the brunt of this criminal justice system. So we want to make these facts known. I did consummate history research, dug in to get the facts, and we want to show this to people. So hopefully this can help change the president's mind and understand what's going on. So that's the mission right now.
Yeah, it's a great mission. And Bernard, how symbolic is this for you to know that you are the one that's kind of being used as the face of this? You went through so many struggles, and now you're getting to be able to step out in the front of this.
I'm still walking through the house from the front of the house to the back of the house. Like, is it real? I mean, I have a brand in my name. You know, and I haven't been quite able to get over that hump. because it's been such a good feeling. I went through the worstest time and all the bad things that happened to me in my life. And I'm just ready to spread this message, educate my people of color, and let them know the things that's been done in life don't have to be done no more. And I'm gonna have the chance to get more educated on the plan. And yeah, I'm gonna love spreading the message, and show hope. I am the true face of poverty, and when my people see this, maybe they gonna believe that it could be done.